Hello and welcome to BISP Solutions. My name is Ankita. Today we will continue with the Oracle data management tickets. Today we are continuing with ticket number 107 and ticket number 108. So in ticket 107, we are going to learn how to load data into multiple entities at a single go. Okay. So for that, I will first take you to the interface. Here we are going to load data into the vision application, which is a sample application. And for that, I will go to the navigator and then I will select your data exchange. First, let me also show you the data file that we have already created. So this is the multi. So this is our data file. Here in the given case, we can see that in the first column, we have all the account dimension members. In the second column, we have the version dimension member name working. Then in the third column, we have the product dimension member name P_160. Then in the given in column number D and E, we can see that we have the entity's name on as the header, that is entity 110 and entity of 111, and the data is related to these two entities are then available to us in these two columns. Okay, now we will see how we can load metadata, how we can load a data into the application for these two entities in a single go, and how we map the data for the same. So in a data exchange, we will first go to the data integration and then we will click on action, and then I will click on the application here. So under the application, we can see that we have already created a file that is the data source application. Then we are going to create as we already have data source. With the help of this with the help of this plus sign, I'm going to create a target application. So here we are using the prefix as multi. Okay, now I will click on OK. So here, first of all, for here in the category, we are selecting EPM local because we are going to load here the data. However, when we will be loading the metadata, we need to select the dimensions over here. For data source, that is the file, flat file, for that we need to select the data source. So in the given case, we are selecting EPM local. Okay, and we have given the prefix as multi underscore, and I will click on OK. Here we have got a pop-up message that the application has been registered successfully. Now after that, after creating the source and the target application, we will now move forward to the import format. So before that, let us first view to the our target application that we have created name multi underscore vision. So in the case, we can see that we have the account dimension, entity dimension, HSP view, product, and the version dimension with us. And we are going to map the period, version, and we are going to map the period, scenario, and view in location. Okay, so after this, I will then go to the navigator, and then from here I will be selecting data management and integration. Here I will first click on setup, and then I will click on import format under integration setup. Here I will click on add and will create an import format, will be named IMF underscore multi entities Okay, after that I will then select the source file with the help of the search icon, and our file was file, which is a flat file. Okay, then we will select the target, which we have just recently created, name multi underscore visions. So after selecting it, I will click on OK. After that, I'm going to select the file type here as multi-column numeric data. After that, I will click on save. Here we are selecting multi-column numeric data because we can see that we have data in 2 columns with us today. One is for entity 1110 and another one is for entity 111. Now we are going to map the dimensions here, source and the target application. So I will mention the source here. The field number is going to be 1. As we can see that here the account dimension is available to us in column 1. After that, I will click on amount, and now we are going to map the amount dimension. So here we have the amount for these 2 entities. Okay, so although this is the amount column, so the amount will be considered from column number 4 itself. Okay, so here we are taking it as column number 4. After that, I will save it, and after giving the column field number, we need to add an expression into it. First expression is going to be the driver. Under the driver, we need to define the driver for which we are loading the data. So here we are selecting entity, and then we need to mention the members of the entity dimension for which we are loading the data here. So here I will select the entity as total entity, and here we are loading data for 110 and 111. So I will select these 2 entities, and then okay, so here we have selected 110 and 111. Now from which column to which column we have the data is from 4 to 5. So here I will mention the column number as 4, 5. After that, I will click on OK. Okay, so in the given case, we have provided the driver, that is for entity we are loading our data. Then we need to provide the columns, okay, of data. So after providing this, I will be then moving to the entity, and then I will mention it as 4. Then here I will be identifying the HSP view based data. So here it is going to be as base data. Okay, we are here doing a hardcore mapping because we haven't mapped the data into the data file. Okay, here we cannot find the HSP view dimension, so we are doing a hardcore mapping in the import format. And now we have the product dimension. So for product dimension, we have considered product dimension in column number 3. So field number is going to be 3. Then I will save it. Lastly, we have the version dimension. The version dimension is going to be working. Okay, after doing that, I will click on the save, and we are done with the mapping. Okay, after that, now so after giving the import format, we will give the location. In the location, we are going to provide the POVs. So for that, first we will name the location here, LOC underscore multi entities. After that, I will select the import format here that I have created just recently. Okay, after selecting the import format, we can view the source file and the target application. After that, I will save it. Okay, now we have the location above. We can view it after saving it. Okay, now after providing the location, we need to do a period mapping over here. So for that, for the period mapping, we will then again move to the data integration. Under the data integration, I will again click on action and will select the period mapping here. Under the period mapping, I will be selecting the target application here as multivision. Then with the help of the plus sign, I'm going to map the period here. So here we are selecting the key period as December 22, and then I will save it. Okay, now I will select the source mapping. So here it is file, and the source is also is file. Then I will name the calendar as CL and then save it. After that, with the help of this plus sign, I'm going to add a target key period. So our target key period is December 22. We select it once more. Okay, so after mapping the period, now I will close it, and then I will click on the action, and then I'm going to map the category. So here we have the current category is already visible to us. To add another one, I will be using the plus sign to add an actual category here. The grid category is going to be actual as well. After that, I will save it. So yeah, we have successfully saved the global mapping of the category now. After that, I will cross it, and then again I'm going to the data management, under which will be clicking on the workflow tab. After that, I will click on data load mapping under data load, where we are going to map the all the dimensions here. So here we are going to do the like mapping. Okay, before that we need to select the location here. So below we can see the location was already selected as LOC multi entities that we have created. The period is December 22, which we have recently mapped. Then the category is actual, and the source file is file, and the target application is multivision. Okay, now I will map all the dimensions here. So we did the account mapping, that is the account dimension mapping. Then we will be mapping the data. So data mapping is always done while loading the data. However, when we will be loading the metadata, we don't need to map the data dimension in it. Okay. So after providing the like mapping for all the dimensions, we will move to the data load rule. After paid product mapping, last one is the version mapping. After doing the version mapping, we will then move to the account dimension mapping, and we will check whether we have mapped all the dimensions or not. After viewing it, now we will go to the data load rule under data load, and we will go into we will be creating a data load rule in it with the named DLR underscore multi entities. I will then select the import format here, and then finally I will select the file. So for that I will click on upload, and then we'll upload the file here. We will fetch the file from the location where we have saved it. Okay, so here after selecting the file, I will then click on OK and then save it. Okay, after this I'm going to execute the rule here. So first I'm going to import from the source. Okay, after checking whether the import is successful, we will then export the file. might take some time to process it. So here our file is already imported. In the data load workbench, we can view that our import is done, and also the validation is also done. Now again we will go to the data load rule, and from there I will again execute the business rule, and here I will click on import and export both. Okay, after that I will click on OK and then refresh the file. So again we got a green tick here, so it means our import, validation and export are all done. It means the data is being loaded. Okay, now to view the data file, I will then move to the user interface of the Vision application. Here, using with the help of navigator, I'm going to select the data file in which we can view the loaded data. So for that, here I have already created a data form. We are going to view it in it. So the product here, let me see that we have correctly mentioned the POVs or not. So the product was P_160, P_160. It's stable computer, and then I will click on OK. Okay, here the period is going to be the December month. Okay, so here we have given the POVs. Then here we have the year as FY23. We need to make the changes. For that, I will go to the designer mode. Under the designer, under the layout, I'm going to select the period as FY22 and then save it. So now we can view the data that we have just recently loaded. So here we can see for entity 110 we have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40 and then 70,000. So similarly we have the data in the same sequence as well, and similar goes with the 111 entity, that is the West Region Resources. So here we can see the alias name of these entities. However, here we have the entities number. Basically we call it as entities name. Okay, so this is how we load a multi-entity data. Now we will go to the next ticket of the day, that is schedule the batch load. So understand the batch load. So batch load is basically where we load multiple data load. We create a multiple data load rules and we load it in a single go. Okay, in that we can schedule the batch for a parallel if we want all the data to be loaded simultaneously in a single go, or else we can go in accordance with the sequence that we provide. So let us view that how to load a batch file with a batch file now. So for that I will first we will first view the data file which are available to us. So we have the data file here, batch 1 and batch 2. Okay, under the batch 1 we are going to load a multi-period data, okay, for entity 120 and product P underscore 150. Then so we are going to create a DLR 1 for data 1 batch. Okay, then we will be creating the another. Then we have another one file which is a multi-entities data load. Okay, so we are going to again create another data load rule for the same. Okay, so let me show you how we are going to do that. It is simple. We just need to create a process from the initial. Okay, so for that, first of all, we will be first creating the target application. So we already have where is the, yeah, under this we will first go to the data exchange. I will show you the data file, the source, data source, and the target application that we already have with us, under which we are going to load the data. Okay, so with the help of this action, I will show you the, under the application tab, I will show the application that we have. So here we are going to load a data for flat file, which is our source data, data source. And in the given case, we are going to load a file for for the target application named Vision, which is an APM local file, and type is planning. Okay, and when we click on it, we can see that we have the data table column for account dimension, entity dimension, HSP view, product, and version dimension. And the rest of the remaining dimensions will be mapped under the location. Okay, so now I will then go to the data management again. So under the data management, I will then click on setup tab. Under the setup, I will then click on the import format. I will add an import format here named IMF underscore multi-period, and then the source file here is going to be the flat file, and the target application will be Vision. So we need to create separate import format for all the files, for all the data load rule. So here it is going to be multi-column data, multi-column numeric data. Okay, again. So for that, I will first map the account dimension. So here for the batch 1, we have the account for column as field number 1. Then we have the amount column. So the amount column will be starting from, okay, so it's wrongly been saved. File type was selected as fixed numeric, however it is multi-column numeric data. Let's save it first. Okay, so the amount column here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and from 5 onwards we'll be having the amount column. So here the field number is going to be 5, and we are going to add an expression into it, which is the column start and end. As we are loading multi-period data, so we just only need to add the column number, that is from 5, 6, and 7. So it will be going to be 5, 7 only. We don't need to use the driver as we did for multiple entities. Okay, then I'm going to map the entity here. So for entity dimension, we are going to select here the field number 2. Then we have the HSP view. So the HSP view is going to be the base data. Then we will be selecting the product. So for product, we have column number 3, that is field number 3. After that, I will save it. And then for version, we will see the field number here, which is column number 4. After that, I will save it. Okay, so here we are done with the mapping part of under the import format. And we did hardcore mapping for HSP view, as we do not have this dimension into our data file. Okay, after doing the import format, we will move forward to the location. Under location, I will add a location here as LOC underscore batch 1, and then here I will select the import format as IMF underscore multi-period. So the source file is flat file and the target application is version. So after doing that, I will save it. After providing the location, I'm going to map the period here. So for period mapping, I will again go back to the data integration with the help of action. I will be adding under the period mapping, I will add the period for which I'm going to load the data. So here under the application mapping, I will therefore select the application version, and then I will save it. And with the help of this plus sign, I'm going to add a period here. So here we are going to add actual data for period January to March. So I will then select the period here as January 22. Then with the help of the plus sign, I will select the period here as after January. I am going to select it as February. Then lastly, we will be selecting here as March 2022. After saving the file, I will then click on the source mapping, where the source type is going to be file, and here the file name is going to be the flat file. I will name the calendar as CL. After saving it, I will then go to the plus sign and will add the source period from January to December again, from January to March here again. So Jan, it is going to be Jan 22. After that, I will click on OK. Again, with the help of the plus sign, I'm going to add another period, that is Feb under the dash 22. And then lastly, here I'm going to select the period as March 22. After done with the selection of period, I will save it. So here we are done with the period mapping. After closing it, I will then go to the category mapping. So we don't need to map here the category, as we have already created a category recently named actual. Okay, so now I will load the actual data from period January to March. Okay, so now we will go to the workflow tab, under which I will be selecting the data load mapping. Under data load mapping, I will then select the location before, starting with the okay. So after selecting the location here, I will then click on OK. Period can be March or it can be January. That's not an issue. Okay, after that, I will go for a like mapping here. With the help of this plus green sign, I will do the like mapping here. For all the dimensions available to us. Okay, after when we are done with the mapping, we will first check whether we have done it correctly or not. After viewing it, now we will move forward to the data load rule. We just need to create data load rule. We are not going to execute it, as we need to create one more data load rule. Here we are naming it as batch 1, and here the input format will be the IMF underscore multi-period. After that, I will select the file here. With the help of this upload option, we are going to fetch the file from the location where we have saved it. Here we have data 1 batch. Okay, after that, I will click on OK and then save it. Okay, we are not going to we are not going to execute this data load rule here. Okay, after that, I will then again go to the setup. Under the import format, we are going to add another import format here named IMF underscore batch 2. So the source file, again, it is going to be the same as a flat file. The target is going to be the vision itself, and the file is going to be multi-column. And we're going to map the dimensions here. That is, first column is going to be the account dimension for batch 2 file. Here the amount is going to be from column number 4 onwards. So after selecting it, I will then click on save. Then I will add an expression here, as it's a multi-column data load. So here I will first provide the driver, which is going to be entity. The member name here is going to be 110, 11 and 12. So here it is going to be entity 110, 11 and 12. Okay, after selecting the file, after selecting the members of the entity dimension, we need to provide the column from which column till which column, the start column and the end column of the data here. So the start column is 4 and the end column is 6. So here 4, 6 will be mentioned. After that, I will select the entity, and here for entity I'm going to again write the field number as 4. After that, I will save it. For HSP view dimension, here we do not have HSP view dimension, so we are going to do a hardcore mapping. We can mention any field number as per the requirement, and then I will select the member here as base data. For product, we have column number 3, so I will select 3, and then the version dimension. So we have, for version, we have column number 2. After saving it, okay, after doing the mapping under the import format, we will move forward to the location. Under the location, I'm going to create here the location name LOC underscore batch 2. After that, here I'm going to select the import format as IMF underscore batch 2. So we directly got the source and the target. After checking on it, I will save the location here. After that, we need to map the period. So we are loading the file for the month of April. Okay, so for that, I will then go to the data integration. Here I will map the period. I will go to the application mapping. Target application here is vision, I will add one more period here, that is for the month of April. After that, I will click on OK and will save it. The source file is again flat file. Okay, I will add another file, another period here. It's going to be APR 22. After selecting the file here, I will save it. Okay, so we are done with the mapping of the period here. We don't need to go to the category mapping again. So we will be now switching to the data management. Under the workflow tab, we are going to do the mapping for location LOC underscore batch 2. So here the period is going to be the April month, April 22, and the category is actual. Okay, we need to go to the data load rule. Yeah, so here I will click on like mapping, and then here I'm going to do star to star mapping. For all the dimensions, we will do the mapping here. As and when we are done with the mapping of all the dimensions here, then we will be moving forward to the data load rule. Okay, so we are already done with all the mapping, I believe. Let us check first. After that, I will click on data load rule and will add a new rule here, named DLR underscore batch 2. So here the category is actual, plan is plan 1, and then here the import format is going to be IMF underscore batch. After that, I will select the file first. The file is batch data 2. And then I will save it. Okay, now we are done with the creation of the data load rules here. Now I will again go back to the setup. Under this, I will click on the batch definition under the head batch. Okay, now here I am going to add a batch file here. I will name it as data batch. Okay, the target application here we have selected as vision. Type is going to be data, as we are loading the data only with the load rules. And here we are the execution mode is going to be serial. So according to the serial number, the job will be sequenced. After we are selecting with these files, now we are going to the parameter. So here import format, source target will be there. Then import mode is replace, export mode is going to be store. Okay, after providing these batches, I will then save it. And then now we are going to provide the job batches here. So with the help of the search icon, I'm going to provide the name of the rule here. So DLR underscore batch 1 that we have recently created, we will be selecting it here first. Job sequence is going to be here be 10. And then I will add another batch file, another data load rule that we have created, named batch underscore batch 2. Okay, After saving it, now we will move to the next step. Under the workflow tab, we will be then clicking on the batch execution. So under these, we have the option to directly execute it with the help of this, or else we have an option to schedule it as well. With the help of the schedule, we can schedule it for example, in accordance with the Indian time standard. It is going to be the as per the Kolkata, yeah, as per this Kolkata time standard. Okay, we are keeping it as simple. If we need to run the file on a periodical basis regularly, then we can select the period here. If, for example, it is being done on a monthly basis, so we need to select the date for which on a monthly basis we need to do it. Okay, so here it is going to be 6. Here the time can be any, like for example, here let me select it as 57, and it is going to be PM, and then I will click on OK. Okay, so the scenario has been scheduled successfully. Then I will go to the data load workbench. Okay, here I will refresh it. It's already 56. Let us see. Okay, it is 56. As and when it is 57, we will again refresh it and view. See, the batch is being processed here. Okay, so the batch file is processed. Rule name is data underscore batch. Okay. Okay, so our data is loaded into the application now. Okay, to view the data file that is being successfully loaded, I will then click on the workbench and will refresh and view it. Okay, let us see whether the data is loaded or not with the help of this. Let us go back to the process detail and refresh it once more. Here we can see that the batch is processed and the status is green. That means the data is already loaded at the target application, that is Vision. Okay. So to view the data file, now I will take you to the data here under the navigator, and we have already created a form with the name batch 1 and batch 2. We will view whether the data is loaded or not. Okay, so we need to view the data file. For first we need to make the changes into the POVs here. As we have loaded the data, as we loaded the data for FY22, so here it is going to be FY22 actual. The version was working. Okay, it was loaded for Q1 for batch 1. Okay, let me show you the file. entity was 120. Okay, so here I will go to the, so I will save it first. After saving the file, I will go to the batch for one form. The product is P underscore 120. So I will type it here 120. And then I will click on OK. The entity was, okay, sorry, the product was P underscore 150. I need to select here P underscore 150. I wrongly selected it here 120. It was other computers. Then here we need to select it as 120, which is machine resources. Okay, now I will click on go. Okay, so our batch was not executed correctly. Let me check again. There might be some error in the setup. So let us go to the batch definition. Let us see what was the error behind it. Job sequence should be 1. It should be in 2-digit. Let us do one thing. Let us do it in 1 and 2 format. After making the changes here under the serial, it is going to be data. Let me do one thing. Let us select the period here. The period of Jan till the period of April. So it is going to be replace. Export mode is going to be store. After that I will save it. Okay, after making these changes, now let us again go back to the workflow, and then we will click on batch execution, and then we will again execute and see whether the data is being loaded or not. Let us see the status. Batch 1 is already done. Okay, now I will refresh it once more. There is some error in batch 2. Okay, so batch 2 is not running. Let us see the log file here. To view the log file, I will then go to the file name data to batch. There is some error mapping. Okay, let us see where we are committing an error mapping here. So the version is working. So there is some error in here, in the version here. The version working. Let us go back to the data management. Here we will go to the workflow, under the workflow, under data load rule. So under data load rule, we will then first of all go to the data load mapping to check whether we have mapped it correctly or not. Okay, after viewing this, I will go to the setup, and then I will then go to the import format here. I am at batch 2. So here we have loaded the, okay, yes, we have committed a mistake here, as account dimension was field number 1, we have wrongly mentioned it here as field number 2. Okay, after making the corrections, we will then again move back to the workflow, and we will then again go process the batch execution. Okay, now I will again click on execution, and then I will check the status. Okay, so location batch 1 is successfully loaded, and the location batch 2 is also being successfully loaded now without any error, as we can see the green tick over the status. Okay, after doing that, now let us go to the file here to check whether we can view the data or not. Yes, the data is now visible to us for the batch 1. Okay, so here we can view that these data are all visible into the file here. Okay, so this was the batch 1 file. Now we will go to the batch 2 file. Here also we need to make some changes into the POVs. For that I will go to the designer, then I will click on layout. Here I will again change the year as FY22, and the here after that I will save it, and then I will go to the data form again. Period here is going to be April. After selecting the period, I need to select the product here. So let me go to the batch 2 file. The product was P100. After selecting the product here, I will click on go. And now we can view the data that we have loaded here as well. Okay, so this was the data that we have loaded for entity 110, 111 and 112. These are all visible. So this is how we load a batch file, where we can create a batch of multiple data load rules added in a single go, and we can load it. Okay, so that's all for today. For any more queries, please feel free to ask. Thank you.